at a young age. There's a lot going on in that mind, of course, but I bet he stays pretty positive. And a positive break here from Robbie Capito, and fortunate to have him here in the event. Looked like he couldn't make it, but did happen to manage, coming from Hong Kong.
Yeah, it was a remarkable story, Jeremy. Basically, he contracted COVID-19 and thought he was going to have to miss the Bucharest Open and this. He did miss Bucharest, there was no way around that. But then he tested negative a couple of times and hopped on a plane, got here at 9:30 on Tuesday morning. Later that day he was playing, and now he's in the winner's side going great guns.
Yeah, well, that youth paid some dividends with that last minute notice and all the travel. Did see him that day when he arrived, and you could tell there was a bit of travel and a bit of wear, but got through the first two matches, and now a great opening shot. I guess maybe he's waiting for the rack to be removed, is all I could imagine.
Yeah, there was one obvious negative about the COVID-19, which didn't affect him too badly because he's only 20 years of age. One negative was that for a week he was in quarantine, and consequently he couldn't practice at all. Two officials needed to remove the template there.
Yeah, the templates, kind of often wondered why they don't just cut them. I'd brought that up before. Many available here at the UK Open, and when the situation gets a little hairy, replacing or moving balls. Great opportunity here to get the match started, though, for Robbie, and what a talent.
Full name, Robbie James Joaquin Capito. Both of his parents are from the Philippines.
Saw Robbie first probably 5 years ago at a very young age, obviously, and played awfully well then, and has done nothing but improve. Just had a trip to America in this past year and made a bit of noise. Did win one event, I believe. But one thing about America is it's not always the biggest named events, but usually they're full of great players.
And Jeremy, you get a lot of tournament action in your home state in Texas.
Yeah, it's one of the bigger pool states there in Florida, and there's actually many now, but Texas definitely brings a lot of great players to Texas. Always some competitive matches in between the events. Big shot here, stunning across. Used every bit of the pocket and a bit of an overrun, so this last 8-ball here is going to get a bit touchy. It's kind of right in between to where he can roll it, you know, at a delicate speed, or maybe try to come some 3 rails. And that's what he's doing here. Anytime they're queuing down like, well, no, he's kind of leveling out a little bit, so I think easing this in. Well, he didn't want to ease the 8 in. He decided to work much harder on the 9, and we'll see how this turns out. And I wouldn't say too much concern with the cue ball, but maybe that right side pocket or the upper corner. Stayed steady.
Yeah, caught a lot of the jaw, but it went in regardless. And so Robbie Capito is off to a winning start. He's been playing pool pretty much all of his life. He started when he was aged 2 on a table bought for him at a local toy store by his parents. So far in this tournament, he's beaten a couple of Brits. Robin Cripps, 9-8, when he was still suffering from jet lag because that was the day he arrived. And then Steve Nellis, 9-5, so that's why he's on the winner's side still. As for Riku Romppanen, well, he beat Glenn Cooney from the Republic of Ireland, 9-2. Then that great win over Nikos Economopoulos, 9-5.
And it looks like another Polish player is going to advance, Seshwick, with a pretty easy 9-ball here to give Jungo his first loss. Dimitri making some noise, playing full time again.
Yeah, Wojciech Szewczyk comes through by 9 racks to 3.
All right, I don't think we'll see an offensive play here from Robbie, and a couple reasons. Of course, nothing too obvious offensively. Looks like the bank is covered up a little bit. Plus an easy safety behind the 2 and the 3 and 4 tied up. So I wouldn't get too involved in trying to put too much into this safety. Just, again, the simple snooker behind the 2 ball. First look at our youngster, and I've seen a few. He's not the only what you would call junior in the tournament, but you can tell he deserves to be here. And I was wondering, maybe he's not played, I don't think, on one of the 2 main tables, so certain little things, kicking is definitely one of them that'll be a little different from the outer tables, and ball in hand is exactly what Robbie wanted. He wants to open the 3-4 here on this shot with the 2 near. I might play this in the upper right and go to the rail and bump from behind. Here, very hard to have anything bad happen coming from behind. You don't have to worry about speed control too much. Don't like, I like this play much better. Much better. Go to the rail. You don't want to go on top of these balls. You want to go to the top cushion and come underneath. Again, looks very impossible to get snookered going that way. Another way is you could play it in the side and come 2 rails underneath the 3 and bump from underneath. Coming down on top of them, it's a little risky. Hard to figure getting snookered, but no, he came straight into it, and that's a very, he was trying to come 2 rails, but I don't think he really ever had enough speed. And a big error, Phil.
Well, the idea was correct, as you say. It was just the execution.
Yeah, he kind of let up on it, it looked like, and didn't quite deflect off the one like he wanted. He wanted to carry 2 rails to the backside. You saw him point at that top rail. Okay, he's got to get past the side a bit here. And I'm surprised he's not kicking to our right of the 5 versus our left of the 5. Really, here this requires spin and a very good touch getting past the side with the cue ball.
Well, he missed the 2 by a fraction, and now what a gift for the 14-year-old. I was saying he beat Skylar Woodward in that tournament in Las Vegas recently. When he was out there, in between matches, he was doing homework. His teachers provide work for him when he's away playing pool. Doing homework in Las Vegas. The 2 things don't seem to go together, do they?
No, not at all, but during that event, there were a lot of juniors out there. It's a big event on the amateur side as well, and I actually heard that. And actually, I was in the Q-Tech booth, so anytime there was a junior, I always asked if they were keeping up with the school, and the parents usually said yes, they are. He probably comes down the left side of the table and maybe has to play the 8 up long here in a few shots. He's gotten in position. I think he can draw the cue ball above the 8, maybe coming towards the side, so we'll see. Might have to cheat the pocket a bit. Kind of feel like, and I don't recall for sure, this is a young man we saw at a Euro Tour event when the Mosconi Cup team traveled back and stopped in Holland.
Well, I'll tell you what, he took those assertively, and he's equalised at 1 rack each. Robbie Capito hooked himself on the 2 and didn't make contact. Romppanen did the rest. Now I've got some news for you about the next matchup here on table 1. It is going to be Imran Majid against Chris Melling. Now that's on the loser's side, so that's an elimination contest. And the other spice about that is that Majid and Melling will be partners for Great Britain B in the forthcoming World Cup.
Yeah, both from here in the UK, and both 2 great players. 2 North Americans about to tee it off on table 2, that being Billy Thorpe and John Moore of Canada. 2 that have played each other, I'm sure, multiple times.
Some quick scores for you. Tobias Bongas 4-3 up on Dennis Grabber. Thomas Kaplan 4-2 up on Ralph Suke. Both of those matches on the winner's side.
And Mackinnon ahead of Beasterbosch 7-4. 2 guys that are still looking for a huge win. So we've seen him run out. We've seen him break now, and the next part of our game, or another part of our game, the rollout situation. So sometimes the kicking and a few safeties, you know, the rollout is something that really comes with experience, and so we'll see how the young man deals with this. And it does have a little something to do with your opponent at times, you know, where you know their strengths. You're obviously not going to roll out for a jump shot against a Feder Gorst or players that really excel at certain areas. So this is I like the rollout on the kick here. That's pretty appropriate, I think. And correct, trying to get the 2-up table. Only other thing he could really do is he may be able to come off the left side of the 3 when we look at the table again. And kind of, oh, he's going to go for the jump. Could roll out off the left side of the 3, putting the 3 on the top rail and putting the cue ball in the upper left corner, making things very difficult. He's going to go for the jump and assume the bank to the lower left. He's going to give up a shot to Robbie, and a good one.
Capito, twice Asian junior champion, twice world junior finalist.
Interesting also, something you don't see always from some of the top players is a few here and there, but watch when he's cueing, really the cue never settles before the last stroke, kind of a constant movement. It's a subtle movement, which is a plus, but not a lot of speed involved, but never really comes set. A little unique for such a great player. And you'll see it here. Never really comes steel with the tip like most of the top players. That's a good sign there. That was a lovely stroke coming 2 rails across. Got a bit of a funny position here because he's a little heavy on the 6. So he's got to put a little into the cue ball, and he's got to come down for probably the 7 in the left side. Billy Thorpe did win the lag and about to make his opening break in that third round match on the winner's side. That's got to go a bit. And that's what happens when you don't have much of a natural angle. Speed control, always an issue. And here he's got to let the young man pull out the jump cue again, most likely. Just chipping the left side of the 7, dropping on the bottom rail behind the 9. Pretty easy shot to manage. Don't see him really doing much of anything else. Looks to me something like just a little left of the first diamond. That looks about the right place to rest the cue ball. Yeah, about there. And what he's done here is the 9-ball cuts a little bit off coming to the top rail without using some spin. May be able to get rail first, but where are you really going with that? That's what I thought. He may go to the jump cue, and anytime the ball's on the side rail, you're having to cut it like this. You worry about the cue ball flying off the table. So what you'll tend to do is maybe let up on the jump a little bit, maybe aim a little thicker than you really want to.
While he's looking at this, I can tell you on the loser's side, Tyler Steyer, who had a great escape yesterday. He has just beaten Ramchandani from India 9-2. Ramchandani, I should say.
And Tyler's still looking to get his 2022 campaign going. He's played some quality tournaments, but he's also struggled at times, so did escape yesterday, and that can get you going as well. Kind of felt that may be the case for Chris Melling today, but an Alex Kazakis really slowed him down and put him on the one-loss side. All right, real natural coming 2 rails across here. The 9 really shouldn't be a problem. Should fall below that. It's just all about pocketing this brown 7. People don't realize in this situation all the pressure, even though Robbie's another young player, and all the pressure really on Robbie in this situation. And you'd figure being a favorite, that's what you like, but it's a little bit different situation with the facing the youngster.
So the hook on the 7 worked out for Capito, and he's regained the lead at 2-1. That North American clash on table 2, which you can view on the Matchroom Pool YouTube channel. That's underway now. Billy Thorpe against John Morra. And maybe a good early omen for Billy Thorpe. He fluked his very first ball, the 1, and intentionally potted.
Yeah, 2 mistakes, though, on the opening rack after fluking that 1 on a miss. And he had to go for a jump shot, is what it was, but overran on the 2, getting to the 3, and John hasn't lost a game in this tournament yet, I don't believe. 9-0, 9-0. So not a guy you're wanting to turn the table over to, especially on a mistake.
Yes, the Morra story is remarkable. Played all of his career right-handed, then because of an injury, decided to start left-handed, and he's still world class. Imagine that.
Yeah, that's happening. There's a few stories of that, of great players years ago, but None that were really tournament players, more of the action kind of guys, but pretty impressive. John will switch hands occasionally for certain types of shots, but he shoots definitely 9 out of 10 plus with the opposite hand, and what an incredible thing he can do. And I don't know if, I guess he believed he could play as well as he does, but I'm not sure any of the rest of us did, but he's proven all of us wrong.
Well, 2 balls down on the break-off, but as you can see, his path to the 1 is well and truly stymied.
Yeah, I'd probably roll out to the top rail behind the pink, leaving the kick shot on the 1 myself. A lot of guys would say, oh, you got to jump this, but you know, position on the 3 is very difficult. I think you're going into the pink with the cue ball, and you have to assess your opponent a little bit, even though he has some good wins. He's got to show you something first, I think. Well, that was a great shot. Look, made it look easy, and no bargain now on the 3 ball. You know, it's a little different than years ago, but if you want to play and win tournaments, matches, tournaments, games, whatever you want to call it, you have to become very, very good with the short cue these days. You're not going to get away with it otherwise.
Asking a lot, and now getting from 3 to 4, even if you pot a 3, would be asking, well, asking the world.
Yeah, simplify the shot on the 3 and just pocket the ball. Make sure the cue ball's off the rail. Don't believe shape is even an option, really. It doesn't appear the 4 is playable. Could be wrong, but I thought maybe even Robbie would do something similar. Kind of had to go for that, but yeah, just pocket the 3, trying to make sure I don't get behind the 6, and then knock the 4 away using the 5 to hold the cue ball. The 8 and 9 are big blockers if you can get the 4 down table. If he does try and come back with it, we'll see what the tip position looks like, and he's going to elevate. Get to see some of the power of the youngster here in rack number 4. He got the cue ball back nice. It's just a little off with the 3. I'll tell you, the 4-5 combination is not too difficult, believe it or not, and he doesn't have to get close to it. I may try and lay up on the right side pocket, knowing if I make the combination, the 4 is going to come up. I don't think he's really even looking at that. And of course, Robbie only 20, even though super talented, probably still some experience here and there. But the way the table's played so far, 4-5 is not too difficult because you can slide the 5 in a bit, coming from that small angle off the end rail. And I don't know if he'll go for the long rail bank. He'd rather not had to cut the combo so much. You know, a little more to the right. I think he recognizes the combo is a pretty easy shot. Now the other option is just to chip the 4 into the 5 from this angle, run the cue ball 2 rails behind the 9, using the 5 to hold the 4. Yeah, that's what he's done. No reason to miss this one. That's about as comfortable a safety as you could have.
And when you're 14, safety is not the kind of game you want to get involved in, is it? He was asked recently on a podcast in the USA whether he played one pocket. He said, yeah, I've played a little bit, but I found it boring. Because the 14-year-old mind wants to pot balls and gets involved in attacking pool, not the tactical side.
Yeah, I would suggest just leave that alone for a little while and stick to 9-ball and training and, like you said, potting balls, and that's a super nice hit. I love the speed, not just kind of flailing at it like some would, and understanding if I hit it pretty solid, I might get some separation, and he's done real well. At least going to make Robbie earn it. I think Robbie's partially snookered. Well, he made the first jump shot look super easy. He's got to dig on the cue ball here, though, so a bit different. Didn't miss the mark by much.
Well, it's a thin cut, but the 14-year-old eyes of Riku Romppanen could be well equipped to slice this in.
Yeah, I don't think you want to involve a bunch of side spin here. I think just a natural cut if he does play it. It looks like he's aiming to cut the ball. Maybe go at the 9 with the cue ball a bit. Well, you got to be super impressed with how settled he is, and not just pocketing the ball, but like the last kick shot, a lot of guys, especially under pressure situations, really put the focus on the pocketing of the ball, which is the most important, of course. But what I'm getting at is he knew he had to hit the 4 in at a sweet speed to hold position on the 5. So recognizing what's going on here early, and super impressive.
It's always great when you see a youngster in cue sports with obvious talent. I played Ronnie O'Sullivan when he was 10 years of age, and it was clear he was going to be a world champion even then. And Riku Romppanen clearly has bags of ability in the world of 9-ball. Now then, Robbie Capito is going to be involved in the World Cup pool from the 14th to the 19th of June at the Brentwood Centre in Essex. That's just up the A12 from here, actually, not too far away. It's the home, Brentwood, of Matchroom. And we're going to all convene there, 32 teams. Robbie Capito will be playing with Lo Ho Sum, the World Masters runner-up for Hong Kong, China. So many big names, as you can see from the poster, will be represented there. And the big news today, if you've not heard it, if you're just joining us over the last half an hour or so, the big news is that the Philippines will be represented by US Open champion Carlo Biardo and the legend that is Efren Reyes.
Yeah, pretty exciting stuff, and I wonder what it's going to look like just a month's time. So many great teams, so many stories. That's the thing that really comes with the doubles, I think, the dynamic of the doubles. And we've seen tempers flare at times between teammates. Of course, some just exceptional pool, and I think you just never know who could win that event. I mean, there were some South American teams a couple years ago that were making some noise with some big wins, and can't wait to see Efren get on on the main stage again.
Yeah, we like it when tempers flare, don't we? That's something to talk about. The most obvious incident in that regard was Dennis Grabber and Mark Maggi, the Estonians, who didn't see eye to eye after a defeat. And Maggi and Grabber are both still involved in this tournament.
Yeah, and you know, they're competitors, and I understand, but been hard to pick a winner between them two if they went at it, I'll tell you. Two big fellas. And kind of getting hard to pick a winner here, you would think.
I can tell you, Alexa Pachelch has beaten Luke Garland 9-7, so Pachelch will now take on the winner of our first match on the streaming table here today, Dennis Akolio, in the next round.
Yeah, I spoke with Dennis after the match. He seems pretty calm. So he's overran that a little bit. I thought he may just hold there to shoot the 6 in the opposite side, kind of making just for a stop shot, and really not much work left. Now he's just got to work the cue ball over a little bit, be a little mindful of the 9. Not so much getting behind the 9, but over the 9. That would be my concern. But you know, you talked about, you know, the youngsters and the safety play and whatnot, not really something they're wanting to do. And another one is they usually tend to play very quickly. And I like the pace of play so far for Riku.
Well, he's got a remarkable sporting story. The reason he started playing pool was in a roundabout way, actually. His father took him to the local 10-pin bowling alley. That was at the age of 4. By the age of 5, he scored his first 200 in bowling. Now, that's something in itself. But at that facility, also, there were pool tables. And he started playing the game, fell in love with it, and 9 years later, here he is.
Yeah, on the biggest stage this week in pool, that's for sure. And the inaugural UK Open, I always make that comment. And when I started playing pool at 17, I didn't really know you could play it well, and certainly didn't know you could play it for a living. I kind of thought it was just a game that you played while waiting on a bowling lane. That's what I used to always say, and here we are. Seems like centuries later. I'm watching this youngster with a bit of the same story.
Yeah, I was saying I played Ronnie O'Sullivan when he was 10, and his ability was just remarkable. I broke the balls from the back in the first frame because I just thought he's 10 years of age, and he made a 50-odd break, hardly able to reach the table. At the end of the frame, he was so small that when we put the balls back and the colours on their spots, he couldn't reach the blue spot. I played him again the following year when he was 11, and I just didn't see which way he went. He was in a different league. Now, that positional shot wasn't in a different league, it was pretty poor, and it's left him with a quandary.
Yeah, anytime the cue ball rests on the rail, even if it's not much of a cut like this one is, nerves run even higher, and this is difficult. Watch out for the scratch in the corner on the lower right. Oh, he's hit that sweet and very confident.
You know, it seems like a generalisation. I made one earlier when we were talking about his safety abilities, but another generalisation is that at his age, 14, your nerves are still pretty much intact. And I think that's definitely true. And there he looked the epitome of calm.
Yeah, I would say he looked, if you gave the same shot to most of the field, I think you would definitely see the difference as far as the nerves intact. Maybe not even knowing, really recognizing at that age what nerves really are. I mean, to an extent, or how they impact you. But I always believe there's good nerves and there's bad nerves, Phil. You know, when you're prepared and you're hungry and you're feeling good, Nothing wrong with a bit of nerves, in my opinion.
And there's nothing wrong with Riku Romppanen, who leads 3-2. Other scores? So Shaw 5-2 up on Mieszko Fortunski. Joshua Filler 3-2 up on Chris Reinhold. Mika Immonen 5-3 up on Kelly Fisher. Jason Shaw 4-3 up on Nicky Kraus. And Francesco Candela 2-0 up against David Alcady.
A lot of spin on the white ball. The 8's going to cover up the pocket for the 2. So we're possibly looking at another break and run, but I think more tactical now. We'll see what happens for this young man from here. Probably keeps it simple, just rolling, kind of pushing through on the 2, trying to use the 8 as a blocker. Billy Thorpe can't get going over there just yet. Down 2-0. Did have a chance there, but kind of overran position. Yeah, here you want to get on the 8, like closer to the 8, but the main thing is to get the snooker. That's most important. Oh, he's playing a little firmer. This is going to catch the 6 maybe. And I didn't necessarily mind the play, that's for sure. If you're not feeling good about rolling up on the 8, and I'll tell you, the way this is rested, it looks like the 6 has got him snookered, and the 8 has got him cut off the kick. So he's got to go 2 rails, it looks like, to the top rail first, side rail on the bottom of your screen, and then right by the 9 to get at that 2. Could roll the 8 over on top of the 7, 3-ish maybe, but this is just very rarely do you see the ball's kind of open like this and the kick shot becomes very difficult, but I think this is one of those cases, one of those times. All right, if he puts a high ball here, and that's correct, but if you overhit this a little bit, I think good chance of missing it. You got to kind of smooth this around. Yeah, that's the guys don't realize the ball just hooks a little bit, and unless you really allow for it, we see a lot of missed kicks with a high ball.
You've called that shot already, Jeremy, 3 or 4 times, maybe more than that during this championship, and every time you're right.
Yeah, it's just the alarming thing for me at times with some of the players is it happens again and again to where it should be something that they're starting to notice. Now, you know, granted, a lot of them don't get a lot of time on these types of tables. The slick table, you either, you know, have to advance through towards the end of the event to get the time on this table, or be in like the Whirlpool Masters, something like that. But, you know, as far as scraping games out and grinding games out, you're going to get snookered a lot in these events. You have to be able to kick successfully. Excuse me.
Tell you what, there's no grinding for John Morra. He's leading 3-0 against Billy Thorpe. He's played now in the tournament 22 racks, and he's won 21 of them.
Oh, he did lose a game yesterday then.
Shame on him.
Well, at last I caught, he was up, I think, 7-0, I thought, in his second match. But all right, wants to keep from straight in here when he comes across for the 7. Maybe a little further away from the 7 than he wanted, but so when that's the case, you have to make a decision how you're going to play it. You're going to roll it more, probably not. But if he gets into the cue ball with some draw, he's got to make sure it doesn't get away from him. Friendly pocket there. I was hit a bit thick.
Well, I was convinced he'd missed that.
Me
and
too.
I think he was too.
Yeah, and it's dried out a bit since this morning, and we saw some balls hang that we hadn't seen. And in the last, or the first 2 days, excuse me. Maybe that sunshine has helped him there on that 7-ball.
Well, of course, Finland is known as the land of the midnight sun. So he's trying to put Robbie Capito to bed.
And he's broke the balls very well. He didn't come away with an open offensive shot on the 2 in this rack, but the young man can put some racks together, I think. He's going to have to go for the extension here, and things will change come Saturday and Sunday for our final 16. We'll have a shot clock on these tables, which will make a huge difference, I think, especially dealing with some nerves.
It's not a traditionalist viewpoint, I appreciate that, but I do love the shot clock.
Oh, I think it's a very good thing in our sport. He's overcut it. And I was wondering when he drew back if, you know, younger players and players that aren't, you know, he isn't fully grown yet, they're a little mindful of the stretch. You know, a lot of Filipino players are very mindful of it. They're not always the most tall players, and maybe just overdrew on the 8 a little bit.
That, though, was well cued from Robbie Capito, and he's okay with the cue ball. That was a little too close for comfort, the white, but the 9-ball was knocked in with great aplomb. And so, what looked like being a 4-2 lead for Romppanen is actually 3-3. Some more scores around the tables for you. Thomas Kaplan, 7-3 up against Ralph Souquet. That battle is to determine who will play Shane Van Boning on the winner's side next. There you can see Francesco Candela 2-1 upon David Alcady. Looking good for Mika Immonen, the veteran Finnish player, who's a hero to Riku Romppanen. Immonen 6-3 up on Kelly Fisher. Jason Theron 7-5 up on Jeff Beckley. Jan van Leerup 6-1 up on Oliver Szolnocki from Hungary. Niels Fine 8-5 up on Nicholas De Leon. Jason Shaw 4-3 on Mickey Kraus now. I can tell you Kelly Fisher has just pulled one back. It's 6-4 to Mika Immonen. And so Shaw leading Mieszko Wachunski 6-3. Joshua Filler and Chris Reinholdt 3-3.
Yeah, well, a lot of people, just like this match, didn't realize that, you know, Chris, of course, stumbled coming down the stretch yesterday, but all the pressure was really on him in that match, just like it is for Robbie. I'm not saying that Riku isn't feeling some pressure. He probably is. And that's actually a good thing for the young man. But as far as like who's going to ask you afterwards, you know, it's not an assumed win for Robbie or Chris yesterday against Pia, but definitely the pressure on them. Okay, he's got a bit of an issue with the 5 and 6, but the 4 over the side, you know, lends towards getting on short side of the 5 later. So keeping it simple here. And where the 3's at, he should easily get kind of where the cue ball's at now for the 4 to be able to draw over for the 5. Just needs to pinch this back on the 2. And Billy just struggling and for some reason hasn't played a match on the slicker tables yet. Maybe that has a little something to do with it. Missed a 1 ball in this rack, trying to maneuver the cue ball. And that's pretty perfect, not too much angle. So he'll want to kind of like draw, slightly stun between the 5 and 6. Get a little bounce off that side rail. That way he gets away from the 6 with the cue ball. should work nicely. A little bit of an angle, but so close to it, he can really kill the cue ball how he wants. Probably follows this up, though, a little bit. The 7 doesn't pass the 9, so he wants a bit of an angle on the 6. These players, when they get in that kind of one task at a time mentality, that's when you'll see them play their best. Don't get ahead of themselves. Okay, again, he's close enough to it, just a little pinch draw. He's going forward, though, with inside. It's okay. Just a little preference.
Yeah, even at this high level, one man's meat might be another's poison. So it's sometimes when you've got choices, all about how you personally feel. No right and wrong.
Yeah, and you'll see that mainly when they're closer to, you know, their work. There's more standard ways to shoot shots when you get some distance, though.
So often you see an unlikely miss turn a match, and maybe that's the case here. The missed 9-ball from Riku Romppanen in the 6th rack. Robbie Capito took that one, and he took the next to regain the lead at 4-3. I can tell you Niels Fine, vastly experienced Dutchman, he's through. He's beaten Nicolas de Leon 9-5.
And Niels, a great player, and another one really trying to get back in that form, and like a Mika Immonen and a few others.
Another Dutchman going great guns, Jan van Leerup. He finds himself 7-1 up on a player I know you highly rate, Jeremy, Oliver Szolnocki.
Yeah, Saul Szolnocki plays so solid in his last match, but then at the end had a few rare kind of misses, something, you know, I just don't see very often, even though I did talk about it in the match we did. I think maybe it was me and Michael feel that I thought the 4¼ inch pockets versus the 4-inch pockets kind of would help Szolnocki, because I do see a miss every now and again on the tighter tables from him that you wouldn't expect.
So while the official who had to re-rack the balls on table 2 comes over to table 1 to do the same thing, let me give you some more scores. Thomas Kaplan from Poland, 7-4 up on Ralf Suke. Piers Labutis, Lithuania, he leads Daniel Maciol 5-4. Tobias Bongas has just moved onto the hill against Dennis Grabber at 8-5. Jason Theron from South Africa. The South Africans are having a great time, aren't they, here? Theron leads Jeff Beckley 8-5. Chris Alexander, who beat the snooker player Gary Wilson yesterday, he leads Max Lechner 1-0. Francesco Candela 3-1 up on David Alcady. Mika Immonen 7-4 up on Kelly Fisher now. And Jason Shaw has a degree of breathing space against Mickey Kraus at 5-3.
Yeah, another Shaw, so Shaw ahead of Misko Fortunski as well. All right, the one got a kiss up on the back rail, so it didn't come around like he was expecting, and he's got to look at the one. We'll see if he decides to go offensive. I think it does cut by the 4, and it certainly goes to the other corner pocket. A little bit elevated, or funny cueing, let's say. I got to go for this cut shot, I think, to the left. You don't have to, but I think you can get around the 9 and come up for position on the 3. Yeah, this sit's actually pretty nice, and speed control should be okay. Just a straight high ball. Wouldn't involve any side spin. He's putting a touch of left, it looks like. That shouldn't hurt him. So 3 rails right where he's standing, then up for the 3. And he's overcut it. And that's where I think that I've seen it twice when he needs a little more speed. I think that no pause at the cue ball before the last stroke can cause a little bit, you know, being off with the timing a touch. It's very unique that we see the top players that don't pause at the cue ball. Very, very rare. And Billy Thorpe made a cross-side bank, banking Billy Thorpe. That may be what he needs to get himself going.
Yeah, just to repeat, all of the Table 2 streaming all day is available on the Matchroom Pool YouTube channel.
Now the 1 does play by the pink 4. The thing is, he doesn't really want to go into the 6 with a cue ball, so now he's trying to see, can he come around for a cross-side bank maybe, avoiding the 6 ball. Watch out for the lower left-hand corner. He's overcut this as well. He's got to use the pocket a little bit here. He's got to cut this thinly to get easy travel on the cue ball. Otherwise, the ball will hook a little bit and go a little bit left. He wants to come down behind the 3, I'm pretty sure anyways. Oh, he's going to need a friendly bump here. I think he got it. Well, not so friendly. Looks like Billy Thorpe should get on the board here in the 5th game.
Yeah, as US Mosconi Cup captain, Jeremy, you've got eyes everywhere, haven't you? On all of your potential team members.
Yeah, this round so far, from the looks of it, hasn't been so friendly for the American players, but it's early. Okay, he should get the snooker here, I think. And probably we'll see this young man, Riku, go back to the air with the jump cue. There is some reward here in a shot or two with a possible 5-9. Billy didn't hit the 7 as clean as he had liked, but got it down. On table 2, and is going to get on the board and break the balls in game number 6, trailing 4-1 it looks like. So awkward cueing here, all ball fouls for the youngster. So he's got to be careful on the delivery, doesn't catch a piece of the 9. He's going to love where the cue ball is going, and now where the 3 is going to agree. I think Robbie may go to the air as well, and this is where the jumping is difficult because he wants to play the cue ball kind of safe, but he probably is attacking on the bank as well. You can see with the pink 4 up the table. And he may fluke this twice. No, it held up, and the table's definitely grabbing a bit more now, Phil.
Well, you know, as the ball was going towards that bottom cushion, I was with you. I thought he could well fluke it, and then in the end it was nowhere near.
Yeah, the ball's not sliding off the rail and turning over like we saw in the first 2 days, and you know, that's pretty common, but that one grabbed quite a bit. I think the young man's got to go for this with a little high left English. He may just come across and take the cut shot on the 4. Again, the 5-9. Just sitting there for whoever can get at it first. Big shot. And he's overcut it, and he's lost the cue ball maybe. No.
It's become quite scrappy now, hasn't it?
Yeah, and this is kind of touchy as well. And I would think you would want to play the 3 underneath the 4 and the cue ball back behind the pink, or excuse me, the purple 5 ball, but you got to do it at a slow pace for it to take. That being that right spin coming off the 3. Could bank the 3 across and try and lay underneath the 4, but that one's super tough in my opinion. Oh, he went for the bank. Wow. That's confidence.
Quick result for you. A man with one of the best names in pool, Tobias Bongers from Germany, has beaten Dennis Grabber from Estonia 9-5. That's on the winner's side.
Man, you wouldn't say Dennis struggling, but really hasn't had the results here of late in tournament pool. It's going to get clear. Well, I thought it was going to get clear of the 5, and now another decision.
It's one of those matches, and I think this applies to both of them, where nothing seems to be coming easy. The balls may be conspiring against both players.
Yeah, that seems like that one big shot for Robbie to get going really hasn't appeared yet. Like here he broke and he did get a shot at the 1, but one he should make or does make most of the time, and just overcut it a bit. Romppanen, who's broke the balls and didn't come away with a really an offensive shot a couple of times. So is he going for the 9 here? Soft draw onto the 9. 4 should carry up the table a bit off the 7.
Hey, presto, the 5-9 billiard. What a great shot that was. What a well thought out shot from Robbie Capito. And now, for the first time in the match, he has a 2-rack cushion because of this. 5-3 to the youngster from Hong Kong, China. Other scores for you. Joshua Filler, 5-3 up now on Chris Reinhold. Konrad Yajushin, he leads Shane Walford from the United States, 5-2. Abdullah Al Yusuf on the hill against Elliot Sanderson. Sanderson will play alongside Jason Shaw for Great Britain A in the World Cup of Pool, but he's struggling today. Al Yusuf from Kuwait, the semi-finalist at the World Championship last month. 1 rack away from victory. Jason Shaw 6-4 up on Mickey Krause. Mika Immonen on the hill against Kelly Fisher, 8-5. Thomas Kaplan now 7-5 up on Ralph Souquet. Just to repeat, the winner of that match will take on Shane Van Boning next.
I don't think I change much if I'm Robbie as far as the break shot. It's not going all out at it, but it's getting the 1 to track nicely. He got a bad kiss up the table in the last break off. Yeah, I think he's going to like this. Well, I almost got that kiss again, but it opened up, and this is what he's looking for, Phil.
Well, in terms of his productive following shot, that's the best break off, I think, of the match for Capito. The 1's right there, the 3 in the open as well.
Yeah, the 4's near, and it does offer that cross-side bank. I don't think you're going to see a real opportunity. Maybe he comes from behind, cutting the 4 maybe in like the lower right here later and come from behind with the 6-7 to open, but the cross-side bank sitting there pretty nice. He drew that a bit much, but he can use the rails up the table to come back for the 4. And this is where he wants to make a decision. Do I want to get an angle on the 4, maybe get short side for the 6 in the right middle pocket, or do I just get nice and heavy on the 4 and just play the cross side bank on the 6? Billy Thorpe made an unreal kick shot on the 1, fluking the 9 in the side pocket to get another bead on his side. Now trail is 4-2. Okay, now he got that bit of an angle, so that tells me he's going to be aggressive maybe with the breakout. Sizing it up. It does lay nice to get to the short side on the 6. It does go in the lower right and the right middle. So I don't know if I really try to open these at all and just try and add a little right English to this. Come up the left side rail, all speed control. Oh, he's going to open them, and he's missed the ball. Very surprising miss there, too.
You have to say that must have been purely and simply about the application of side, because had he played that plain ball, there's no way he's missing that.
Yeah, but it was outside English, which is a very natural way to shoot the balls, you know, when you do have to add side spins. So I think maybe just not comfortable, really. That was a pretty routine shot. There was, I wouldn't say anything too overly much to worry about. And now Riku should try to cut this in, coming at the 9 with the cue ball. And he seems more calm than Robbie, even though you wouldn't know it about Robbie. He's a pretty cool customer.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think Romppanen's composure has been remarkable considering his lack of experience. Certainly in front of the TV cameras, he looks entirely at home.
And I also think he kind of is more comfortable with the table, is what it appears. He's had good speed on his shots. The direction has been great. He's not overhitting, you know, questionable balls that, you know, when you're pocketing them.
Well, he's missed one 9-ball already, but I'd be very surprised, even with the cue ball so close to the side cushion, if he were to jaw this one. Didn't touch the sides, and so Riku Romppanen, 14 years of age. He's only 5-4 down against Robbie Capito. Match on.
Yeah, definitely match on. And I think that 9-ball that he missed earlier was just a little stretched, you know.
You know, the way the draw works out, Jeremy, I was mentioning right at the start of this match that he caused quite a stir when in Las Vegas recently he beat Skylar Woodward in a tournament. And the winner of this match will take on in the next round either Kyle Akalu from South Africa or Skylar Woodward.
Well, Skylar, I know him. He doesn't look beyond what's in front of him, but it wouldn't surprise me if we see a rematch from Las Vegas. And I'll tell you, the youngster's been a little unlucky on the break. I think he's broke the balls well, really not coming away with many offensive plays. So I don't think putting a few together has passed him, that's for sure. Little cut on the break there. One ball has a lot of speed, so he's going to get some type of shot on the one, but near the rail and awkward cueing. I don't know if he can avoid a scratch without really elevating the cue. That is if he goes offensive. And we'll see how the experience plays in for this youngster. And I think he already recognizes this is very difficult. I think he's got to elevate the cue if he cuts the one on the side. I don't think the corner's an option, especially the cueing over the pink 4. I wonder if maybe he banks the one across, trying to use the 7, 9, 2, and 3 as blockers. Maybe goes towards the purple 5 with the cue ball. Oh, look at this. Pretty crafty. Speed's off a touch, but pretty crafty and not bad.
Yeah, he was trying to use the brown 7 ball and the 9 ball to hide behind. In the end, he's been a little fortunate to get the one in behind the 3.
Yeah, but knowing that shot wasn't, you know, it may give up a look at the one, but wasn't ever giving up an offensive look. And with the 7-9 sitting in a very ugly manner, that's a smart shot. Making sure he doesn't do anything that's going to give up ball in hand or something easy for Robbie. Now this 3 ball looks like it may be makeable of some manner in the lower left-hand corner. He decided to stay away from that. Touchy shot rolling this in the side. Don't know if he can really hit it firm and make the cue ball get to the side rail, maybe back to the top rail and up for the 2. Don't know if he can get to the end rail with a high ball either, so kind of elevating here. This is very missable into the side. Not the type of shot you want to be putting a ton of speed. Yeah, just don't really have enough time to explain what happens with that kind of shot going to the pocket, but just almost anyone's a little underdog.
Where the 7 and the 9 are, we might need 2 officials again to get that template out of the way. And obviously 7-9, that looks the problem to solve.
Yeah, if he had gotten an angle on this 3 to get into the 7-9, I think he may have done it just because he would have been close to the 3 and managed the speed pretty decently. But it's getting to the point of the match that Robbie really can't afford anything easy for Riku or any big mistakes. I mean, young man can steal this match, that's for sure. John Morrow with a big miss on an open make, the open shot that he usually makes. Now he can come across off the 5 and open the 7-9. That's what he'll do. And when they're out in the center of the table, it's a little different when you have 2 congested on the rail, but when they're out in the center, it doesn't take much to open, so I don't expect a ton of speed. You don't want to lose the cue ball down to the bottom rail, something like that. Oh, that's much more speed, and I think a little fortunate he caught the 9 right in the face. If he catches the 9 a little thinner, this cue ball gets to the bottom rail. So very surprising you put that much space on the breakout, but nevertheless came away with a shot.
Yeah, you saw him motion over to the roving referee to remove the template.
Now does he just hold there and take the cut shot? Maybe with the rest? Bit of stretch maybe with the extension. He can get at it. So looking for a 2-game lead here, running late in this match.
Yes, for the second time, he goes in front by 2. Robbie Capito led 5-3. Now it is 6-4. 3 more required for progress. Mika Immonen on the hill against Kelly Fisher, but it is only 8-7. It was 8-5 to the Flying Finn. Fisher, she could still pull that match out of the fire. Also on the hill, Jason Shaw, 8-5 up on Mickey Kraus. So Shaw, 8-5 up on Mieszka Fortunski, the semi-finalist in the recent Whirlpool Masters. Daniel Maciol and Piers Labutis, 7 each. Jan van Leerup, 7-3 up on Oliver Sholnocki. Ralph Suke fighting hard. He's only 7-6 down now against Thomas Kaplan. I'd love to see Suke win that one to take on Shane Van Boning next up. That would be something, wouldn't it?
A little bit of side spin he's been using on the break. Not a whole lot. He got that same kiss earlier on the 9. And the one set up in a similar position. So no excuses here. And rack number 11 for Robbie Capito. He's got to address the cue ball a little bit with the 6 and the 4 out in the middle of the table. Those are a little disturbing getting on the 2. Sizing it up a little bit. Like to be able to kill the cue ball and maybe just come at the pink with a light draw stroke. Key with this shot is don't let the layout make you let up on it a little bit here. Make sure you still kind of a little free with the swing. Tip position should kill the ball. And he played the percentages going at the 6 and 4. And again, no excuses from here. Should get out.
First came to international prominence at the 2018 World Nineball Championship when he was only 17 years of age. Robbie Capito. He defeated Eklund Kachi there, 11-10 from 7-1 down. Lost out to Joshua Fuller in the next round, but his name had been made.
Yeah, that's around the same time I first got to see him play, and I knew he was young. I didn't realize that young, and now only 20 years old and coming into his own. And I'd like to have a few shots back in this match, of course, but again, as mentally strong as all the Filipino and Filipino heritage players, because he represents Hong Kong. Playing a young man like Riku could mess with you mentally a little bit. Looks like just a stop shot on the 6. Billy Thorpe back to breaking the balls. Is that match tied at 4 apiece, I think? That's a huge miss by John Mora. The 3 ball was not hard at all.
It is 4-4. Good comeback from Thorpe.
Yeah, he broke and ran 7 racks in his first match. Said didn't play as well in his second, but played pretty solid. Didn't open this match anything like he wanted, but Billy's a fighter, so one of the things he can do is leave some mistakes behind.
And now young Riku Romppanen will need to fight in this match because it is Robbie Capito from Hong Kong, China, who leads 7-4. 2 more racks required for victory. Let's just take a quick look over at table 2, where my co-commentator Jeremy Jones is very interested in proceedings.
Yeah, Billy trying to get back in form. And he's a player, he'll tell you, that still is in a case where he's still got a lot of ways to improve. He's elevating here because he wants an angle on the 3 to get to the 4. That was nice. That makes things a lot easier. He can use the side rail. Doesn't really matter. I mean, he could get awkwardly straight on the 4, I think, but with the 5 and the 8 in the air, not too much to worry about besides pocketing the 3 and avoiding the side pocket for the scratch. I think he went right in it. Oh my.
And at what is the midway point of a match, the engine room of a match, as I like to call it, that kind of mistake really does hurt.
Especially he had a chance to really sit John down after a huge mistake by John. I mean, I think in actual easier situation that John made a mistake to Billy, but still big mistake at 4-4.
Makes me feel old, Jeremy, but I knew his father, Mario Mora, who used to play on the snooker tour. He was a really good player, Mario, really slow, methodical. We actually used to call him Mario Tomorrow because quite often he used to finish after midnight.
Yeah, I knew him also. I know him a little better than you did in one manner. I'm 0 for 2 playing him in a Nineball tournament, so he's a tough player, I'll tell you that.
So the younger Mora, John, regains the lead. That scratch could be really influential in the outcome of that contest. We've been talking a lot today about the World Cup of Pool because of one big announcement. It will take place from the 14th to the 19th of June, up the road from here actually, in Brentwood in Essex. 32 teams. GB has 2 teams as the host nation. Then the rest of the world provides the other 30 teams. And leading the conversation, the narrative right now, is Team Philippines. Carlo Biardo on the right-hand side there, the reigning US Open champion. He will have the honour and the privilege of having for a partner the legendary Efren Reyes.
Yeah, I think the entire world a little envious of Carlo Biardo right now, and what a special treat to have Efren back in the mix.
You can see there a couple of giants of European pool on the hill in the same section of the draw. Mika Immonen 8-7 up on Kelly Fisher. Jason Shaw now 8-7 up on Mickey Kraus. Also on the hill, Joshua Filler 8-5 up on Chris Reinhold. Konrad Jezushin from Poland, he's 6-5 down to Shane Walford. So Shaw leading Mieszko Fortunski 8-7. Mario He 2-0 up on the loser's side against Bada Alawadi. Albin Aushin has started out against Karol Skaversky, 1-0 to Aushin. And Omar Al-Shaheen and Elliot Sanderson are meeting on the loser's side. They're about to start. That's because Sanderson, well, within the last half an hour has been beaten by Abdullah Al-Yusuf.
Now another Kuwaiti player he faces off against. So it could be the 1-2 skidoo from the Kuwaiti team with Sanderson. We'll see. A lot of fireworks in that match, I bet.
And in the Immonen Kelly Fisher match, it's just gone hill-hill.
Capito to break. Hasn't been the break that's been a problem, that's for sure. Really getting the one to dress up. And what he's done that most haven't is he really has not had any impeding balls come in front of the cue ball, which is very common with this break on the side rail. A little bit of a cut. I don't know if the 2 passes the 6. It appears it does. A little straight on the 1, so he may draw back for the 2 on the side. I would have to consider pinching this out and playing the 2 by the 6, though. So speed control, super important here. This is a little bit of what I would have worried about now. The 3 passes the 6. Can he go forward, maybe bumping the purple and having some options on the 3? Don't figure him to draw this one.
Joshua Fuller has beaten Chris Reinhold 9-5.
And Fortunsky draws even at 8 apiece and has to be breaking. He did trail. Wow, that was a surprise there, and he used that cue ball to settle. Thought he could go forward, even if he had to bump the 4 a little bit. Really, how bad could it be with the 3 near and multiple pockets to choose from? So I think going a little bit out of his way maybe there. Mickey Krause hanging around, 8-7 Shaw.
How about that one? That's how to turn momentum from frustratingly negative to positive. He was really annoyed with his last positional shot. He must be overjoyed with that.
Yeah, he's 2 for 3 on the makes with the jump cue as well, so. Moore with a big miss on the 8, so kind of from nowhere, John making a few mistakes here after starting out so strong. A little funny here for Robbie as well. I mean, if he takes it into the side, he's got to really work the cue ball somehow. If he takes it in the corner, a little bit tougher shot, maybe has to bump the 5 into position. Looks like he's taking it in the corner. Just a light bump on the 5. Got it down.
Another bigger result. Mieszko Fortunsky has beaten So Shaw 9-8 from well behind.
And this has gotten funny here. I think he wanted to catch more of the 5 coming by when he pocketed the 4, and now that upper right-hand corner is a concern, but really trying to get some type of position that's not real long distance. So I don't know how much he can get on the cue ball. The slick table is very hard to stun on this type of shot, hitting the side rail, in rail, and really get a lot of cue ball travel. So, and easy to miss the ball trying to make the cue ball travel more. Kept it clean, got a lot out of it.
Between every shot, it seems, results coming in. Jason Shaw has beaten Mickey Krause 9-7.
David Alcady with his hands full, it looks like, as well, right? Trailing 5-3.
Yeah, against Francesco Candela from Italy. All about keeping your head down here and believing in your stroke, which Robbie Capito has.
Well, Billy Thorpe has been the break for Billy that's gotten him going, and it usually is for 9-ball players. And another great break off here at 5-5. So had a chance to take the lead in the last rack and made a big mistake. We'll see what happens here.
What's happened on table 1 is that Robbie Capito has reached the hill. He's doubling up on Riku Romppanen at the moment. It's 8-4.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of Riku now with Robbie putting a couple racks together.
I think the key moment maybe in the entire match was the one where we saw the poor positional shot and then the jump to get back flowing again.
Yeah, the break has been definitely a friend of Robbie's in this match. Hasn't been the break that's cost him a few mistakes. Maybe a decision here and there that led towards a mistake, but.
So here this is a tussle between a 14-year-old and a 20-year-old. What about 53-year-old Ralph Suke, who won the European 8-ball championship this year? Well, the evergreen German is now 8-7 up on Thomas Kaplan. One more rack and he'll take on Shane Van Boening next.
And as awesome as it is to watch Riku play, Robbie Capito doesn't want to see him back to the table. Kind of came across that one a bit more. Still tracking the one. 7's going to get in the way, though, as far as something offensive. So we will see the young man most likely back at the table. You never know. Push shot here. Cue ball near the left side rail.
Pool fans, it is official. Ralph Suke will take on Shane Van Boening later on. He's just beaten Thomas Kaplan 9-7.
And I'd have to think about it for a minute, but I don't think I have to ponder very long to say no two players could face off that have more hardware in this game, more trophies, more titles than SVB and Ralph Suke. Could be wrong, but I don't think so.
Whereas this cue ball, he's okay. He's, in fact, better than okay where the ones come to rest.
Well, smart shot there from the youngster on that bank shot. Very hard to hang it from that angle. Normally it'll go in or get away from the pocket, so he played aggressively trying to pocket the one, knowing the one would probably end up on the back rail with the cue ball downtown, some distance away from the one.
It's such a busy period of the day. Results coming in thick and fast. The latest, Mika Immonen, the hero of Riku Romppanen, has defeated Kelly Fisher out on table 5. It was Hill. Immonen winning 9-8.
Billy Thorpe with his first lead in the match at now 6-5. It was scrappy there in rack number 11, but he did get out. He's going to love this. I'm not sure if it was intended, but he's going to certainly like the outcome. Young man's going to have to show a little kicking prowess. Whether he goes to the top rail with a bunch of spin or maybe kicks several rails around the 6, in between the 6 and 8. It's kind of the route I like. You can get a little speed on that. You can soft kick as well, but you better really be accurate. You could easily foul soft kicking coming underneath the one and not getting a cushion after contact. Your home table, you feel like you can judge it well enough to really kick softly, but I think here for the young man, he's got to make a good solid hit on it, maybe a little speed, create a little fortune. Soft kick scares me. I like that plan. May not work out, but he gave himself a chance, and a chance he's got. Billy Thorpe gets kissed in right there, an awful kiss in on the break, and John Morrow come to the table with ball in hand and certainly tie the score. I don't think Robbie's probably looking at the 1-9 in the lower left. I think he's looking to play the kick combination bank in the lower right. I think that has a lot better chance. Got some movement on it. We'll see where the 1 ends up. Cue ball's on the rail, but perfect position on the 1 for Riku, so good chance for the young man to get something started.
And with this winner breaks format being 4 down with a possible 5 to play, you never know.
And he's broken the ball as well. Just really no love as far as getting shots on the 1. And it doesn't seem like, it's Mika that, even though it's his hero, that he kind of styles after. And I'm kind of curious which player he really looks at. Usually these kids have someone they kind of emulate a little bit. Could be somebody local back home in Finland. Just a little stun. No reason to draw the ball here. Just stun out for the 6 in the upper right. Zolnoki. He was trailing early. He spent a lot of time at the table here recently. We'll update you with some more scores shortly.
Yeah, he was massively behind. Just to give you that scoreline, it's 7-7 now. Zolnoki's fought back onto level terms. Still a way for Riku Romppanen to get back into level terms, but a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one small step, and it ends with a missed 7 ball. That is a very bad mistake, and that was technical. He was really jerky.
Yeah, and he kind of goes at it a little bit. I was going to say, commend him on that, actually. He's not afraid to swing the cue, so that's a good sign. Those kind of things will get cleaned up. He'll recognize his mistake, and I'm sure whoever helps him as far as coaching will recognize it as well. I don't think I would go crazy if I was Robbie here. I think I'd probably double bank the 7 to the top rail, coming across the 7 thick with some left English, and drag the cue ball down, trying to get behind the 9, I think. This kid that he's playing certainly has the ability to put some racks together and steal this match. So is he trying to kill this, banking it cross side? Hard one to judge on the slick table. Looks like he hit it perfect. Ooh, just a little bit on the outer point.
Game of fractions, so the 7 ball was missed by Romppanen, but it's not cost him. He's got another opportunity. One he will surely take.
Yeah, and that looked good the entire way, it seemed anyways, and in reality it never had a chance. That's good enough, or it should be, to get this young man back to breaking the balls, and you never know.
Not about to wave the white flag just yet. Walks back a little disconsolately. I think he's still thinking about that missed 7 ball, but it wasn't punished, and so Robbie Capito will have to wait for victory. His lead is now 8-5. So these other scores, Jan van Leerup and Oliver Zolnoki on the winner's side, 7-7. Great fight back from Zolnoki. On the loser's side, Max Lechner. He's 5-3 up on Chris Alexander. Shane Walford now in front against Konrad Yuzushin. 7-6. Mario He, 3-0 up on Beda Alawadi. Francesco Candela 5-4 up on David Al-Kadi. Now, the winner of our match here on table 1, Capito against Romppanen, will take on Kyle Akalu or Skylar Woodward. They've just started on table 14. Victor Zielinski, he's 1-0 up on Miguel Silva. Karol Skawersky from Poland, 2-1 up on Albin Auschen. David DeSantis and Jan Remper, Hill, 8 each. Radislav Babica and Luke Golland on the loser's side, a 0-0, just starting out. Omar Al-Shaheen leading Elliot Sanderson 4-0. Juan Carlos Exposito having been beaten by Shane Van Boning this morning, 2-0 up on Marco Dorenberg.
All right, the cue ball with a ton of spin and the table with a leak, it seems like. 4 balls down on the break. I don't know if the 5 passes the 6. The cue ball's still spinning. Difficult little situation here. He's going to have to lightly come across the 5, letting it just kind of bank off the side rail, roaming below the 9, and let the cue ball run up by the 7. Easy to overhit the 5 though, but it looks like he's recognizing the shot. Yeah, that's the problem sometimes right there. So we'll see. I'm sure Robbie will go for the pocketing the 5 in the lower left, but there is a possibility of a 9 ball, at least movement on the 9. I doubt you're going to see a safety here. Don't think the referee should have any problem with the template in this situation. Thing is, I mean, you kind of have to ease the 5 a bit because you're going to cannon off the 9. You don't want to go way up table and get snookered behind the 8. Don't think he can really add side spin to this shot to really help position in any kind of way. Maybe he doesn't catch much of the 9, but I think he catches a pretty decent piece. Easy to hit this one thick. Oh, he hit it sweet. Oh my, watch out. And that's cold there. Really great stroke from Robbie Capito and a cold roll.
On such cruel turn of events do matches shift. Can you believe it?
Yeah, very slight angle going into that side pocket off the bottom cushion, and upsetting, of course, but figure him to get another opportunity, but you never know.
No miss on the 7 ball on this occasion.
Yeah, pretty easy cue ball movement from the 8 to the 9.
It is a match that refuses to die. At 8-4, when he missed the 7 ball, Riku Romppanen might have played his last match, or his last shot of the match. Not so. It's 8-6 now, and there's no doubt Robbie Capito is under increasing pressure. He's thinking, please, please don't let that scratch be the turning point. But it might be. Riku Romppanen needs the last 3 racks, and that's well within his capabilities.
Yeah, and he's made balls on the break with no problem. Again, made 4 on the last break, came away with no shot, even though he could see every ball left on the table. So, I mean, there's definitely not past running 3 racks and out here to end this match.
Got some good news for you, Jeremy. Shane Walford, one of your fellow countrymen, he's on the hill against Konrad Zhushin from Poland. That's a potentially very big win for him.
Well, that's okay news. It's good news when he wins, Phil. That's the news we're looking for. But yeah, Shane Wolford been putting in the time. You know, always paying attention to the matches. Of course, him and his family own a great pool room there in Roanoke, Virginia. So definitely has the access and the drive to do special things in our sport. And I think you're going to see that from Shane. And here's that shot on the one that's really been missing for the young man most of this match. Oh, nice stroke there. Just really getting from the, well, there's work from the 6 to the 7 as well, but early here from the 3 to the 4. I don't know if he really can go forward to the rail and get where he wants. He may have to draw off the 2 here. Can he get back to the rail he's standing at? That would be ideal. No, he had to just play into position, and that's showing your talent at a young age. Speed on the draw stroke. And this is kind of roaming, kind of straight in-ish, so I don't know if he can really get out enough to play the 6 in the upper corner. I don't know if it goes by the 8 in the side. I'm a corners guy for the most part, but if he can't get out enough, he doesn't want to get thin on the 6 where he's going towards the side with the cue ball or the 8. I guess he's close enough to the 4. He should be able to stun out and get fairly full on the 6. He can handle a little angle. That's quite a bit of angle, it looks like. Draw short side on the 7, I guess. I'm not sure where he is looking at there. Is he going to go with a high ball? High ball here? I don't think he can stun by the 8 easily and get all the way back over. Maybe so. Maybe it's more of a high ball with a hair of inside.
Just caught a glimpse there of Robbie Capito in his chair, fidgeting away. The pressure building with every ball potted by his opponent. And right now he's thinking, why did I scratch? Why?
Yeah, that was pretty unlucky, and he can see high stressed. That's for sure. Big shot on the 7. It's gotten him a couple times in this match. He's got to pull the cue ball around. The 8 does go on the side. He can play it in the lower left-hand corner here in a moment. You don't figure him to get for the upper left. Big shot. And the good thing is, or the great thing, is under the pressure, he really doesn't back off with the swing feel. He stays aggressive and very confident.
No mental scar tissue at the age of 14.
Well, let's keep it that way as long as we can for the young man. Wow. Beauty.
Trying to inflict scar tissue on Robbie Capito. Remember, it was 8-4 to the 20-year-old from Hong Kong, China. Now it is 8-7, and the 14-year-old from Finland has got all the momentum, it seems.
And he finally got a shot after the break, really an offensive shot finally, and he did wonders with it, and it wouldn't surprise me if he continues to do even better in these next 2 racks. We'll see.
The winner of this match will play Skylar Woodward or Kyle Akalu. Woodward has taken the opening rack over on table 14. It's two each, Albin Aushin and Karol Skaversky. Victor Zielinski, who could really do something here. He's a fine talent who's had a great 6 months or so. He's 2-0 upon Miguel Silva from Portugal. Radoslav Babica from Poland. He's leading 1-0 against Luke Garland from my own West Midlands of England. I think today the tournament has really come alive, and if this 14-year-old can gain the win here, what a dream result that would be for him.
He's got a ton of spin on the cue ball again. The one down, so nothing agreeing on the 2 ball. The pink 4 in the way. We'll see what he contemplates on a rollout or possible kick shot on the 2. Tell you what, the kid doesn't back off though. You gotta love that. Not sure what I do here, Phil. This is super tough. Where do you roll out to? I mean, you can't roll out. I mean, maybe if you can move the 3 in some type of tough position, you may be able to open up the cue ball to a little bit of an offensive shot. Otherwise, it's going to be something super thin on the 2 and probably a safety of some sort. And not really sure where that's at.
His primary objective is to get back to Hill, and that's what Konrad Zhushin has done against Shane Walford. Zhushin now 8 each.
Okay, put some pressure here on Robbie and made it really a shot that's all about talent, because it's all speed control coming off the 2 if you're coming back behind the purple 4. Don't really see any other escape as far as the safety's concerned. And I'll tell you, for Robbie, it's a tough situation because if he passes this, he may not shoot again in the match other than a kick shot. So I think he wants to take this on. Is he coming back behind the 8? That could easily leave an easy open 2 ball. It's nice control there. Robbie's definitely done his job in this push-out situation. And it was a tough one for Riku as well. He's just hoping to get a decent kick shot.
And bear in mind, this is the winner's side still of the UK Open, so there is a safety net. It's not the end of the road if you were to lose, but of course the road would become a lot more dangerous with many more pitfalls if you go to the loser's side.
Yeah, well, the loser's side, you know how that goes. You have to win double the amount of matches to get to that final 16, and it starts to look like the final 8 of a big event. And the way these tournaments go, a lot of players get beat, and the one-loss side almost looks as tough as the winner's side.
So there, Riku Romppanen's shoulders slumped when he realised he's left the 2-8 combination.
Yeah, some distance between the cue ball and the 2, and not dead straight on the 2-8, but definitely a favorite to make it. And usually, when position is easy on that 2 ball after the combination, it just seems like the players stay to form and bury this. Doesn't have to do much. The 2 should hold up. It's not much of a cut on the 8, so he should have the 2 for the lower right after the combination. He's got to shoot though. Billy Thorpe with the 9 down that tied the match at 7 apiece between him and John Mora.
Now this is when Capito is delighted there's no shot clock. He wants more time to try and calm himself down. This is the critical ball in his mind.
Yeah, the pocket at a certain speed plays pretty big. You don't want to baby it too much because you want a nice flowing swing, right? But you're not going to fire this. Just about medium. All right, didn't get the 2 to travel quite as much as I thought. It caught the 8 a little thick to the pocket, but probably the proper way to make it. That way you don't overcut it into the side rail and it bobbles. Got to make one more real touchy shot on the 2. Position's natural. Don't think there's a scratch there, is there? Wow, he's looking at the other corner. Sometimes the camera will fool us. To me, it looked like he could cut the 2 to the lower right and get the cue ball to the bottom rail and come out 2 rails, but maybe not.
Caught it too thick. You can see the pressure he's under. You can actually feel it out there, can't you?
Yeah, and I'd like to have that set up where I could look at it being at the table afterwards, and I just almost knew he could shoot it in the other corner and follow his ball, but I have to give him the benefit of the doubt. That's for sure. He's at the table, but if it was set up again, maybe a little brain lock there. You never know. Doesn't have to be physical. We see it mental all the time in this game. Now facing a hill match with the young man breaking. Don't want to jinx him, of course, but that's what it looks like. All right, he's overdrawn this a bit, and if this lands on the rail, this is going to get pretty tough. Did get a fortunate couple inches off, so that makes a huge difference. Got to dig on the cue ball a bit. Could go with a high ball maybe and come 3 rails up into the right side rail, but you would figure him to cue this with low and a touch of right English. Doesn't have to get all the way back to straight in. Just across to the middle is good enough. Squeezed it home.
Just noticed low-ho sum. Robbie Capito's World Cup of Pool partner watching on.
Well, he's not going anywhere because this is hill here in a moment.
You cannot beat live sport, can you? You can never predict it, you can never forecast it. We were saying, weren't we, in the commentary box at 8-4, you never know, but the way things were going, we just assumed that Robbie Capito was going to cross the winning line. Now it is hill. What a comeback from Riku Romppanen. It's not been all bells and whistles, it has been aided by Capito's mistakes, but now we're going all the way and we've got a 17th and deciding rack. And the decision to put this match on the main match table has been well and truly vindicated.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, rarely ever see a break and run when it's hill in these big tournaments, it seems like, but I kind of feel like we might see one here. Kid's been pouring balls in, not getting many shots, but Capito, he had a couple of chances to end this match, and you know what happens a lot of times when you fail to do so, Phil. Sometimes you don't get that third chance.
Well, Captain America, quickly, let me tell you, Shane Walford has beaten his Polish opponent 9-8.
Good win, Shane, and keep it trucking. All right, One's gotten bumped down. What's the 6 going to do? The one's going to be thin, but he does have a shot. He's made 3 on the break. He's got a nice path to come down table 2 rails between the 8 and 9. Gathering that angle on the 3 once to get back over for the 5. Really all about this 1 ball and speed control. Speed control, getting, you know, not too thin on the 3 and not too far away. It sits about perfect though. And the one good thing that I feel like Riku is going to do, which he's been doing, is don't baby it. Go ahead and put a little stroke on it that opens the pocket up on a shot like this. Oh, he mishit the cue ball maybe with a hair right, or maybe didn't recognize that just straight high was really the ticket there, but got a bit of a roll contacting the 8 and not going much further with the cue ball. One thing he's done very well is the stun shot. So again, stay heavy on it. Let the stroke out a little bit. Should slide in. Yeah, didn't get as much cue ball movement, but good follow through stroke right there. Opened the pocket up as well.
Now it's about raw nerve.
And the good thing is, in this situation, Hill, such a big event, he's trying to make a very sound decision as well. Probably maybe contacts the 6 coming out.
I'm glad he wasn't put off there, you know. Extraordinarily, there's a cue ball from an outside table come into the main arena. John Lehman, the referee, is going into the arena to try and retrieve the cue ball. Can we have our ball back, please?
I'll tell you what, he's hit just a beautiful stroke on the 5. A lot of times going around the 6 like that, you'll overhit it and get much further away. Now, does he try to go back and forth, or does he stay short side? I would probably tell him stay short side myself. I think it agrees with the shot more. I think you're forcing the issue if you try to go back and forth, and not saying he should miss the 6 doing so, but it's possible. Yeah, I like him looking at short side here, coming right across the 9, just like he's looking now. This kid has one heck of a gut instinct. I think that's exactly what it was that got him up off this shot initially. Oh, he did go back and forth, and he's going to get there. What a stroke.
And what a finish. Indeed, we're 2 balls away from what a story. Think back, because Robbie Capito will. He was a fraction away from banking the 7 ball on the verge of victory. Then he potted a really good ball and went in off, scratched. And now Jeremy's lost.
That's right. Riku Romppanen moves on to the final 32 on the winner's side. Needs 2 more matches, is that right, to get to the final 16. We'll see more of Robbie as well.
What an outcome, though. Riku Romppanen, at the age of 14, has pulled off one of the comebacks of the tournament so far. From 8-4 down, he's defeated Robbie Capito from Hong Kong, China, 9-8.